Okay, so I have deliberately picked this example of Chardonnay to demonstrate to you, firstly, the characteristics that you can expect to find in a warm climate Chardonnay, and secondly, to demonstrate to you some of the winemaking choices that a winemaker can make and how they then might impact the style of the wine that you are tasting in the glass. So, firstly, let's have a look at climate. Okay, so you'll have already covered in your books by reading through your textbook so far that in a warm climate, grapes are going to get riper than they will do in a cool climate. This impacts some of the notable structural characteristics. The acidity drops, the sugar content of the grapes increases, which ultimately will lead to higher levels of alcohol and a fuller body in the wine. It is also going to change the nature of the characteristics, the aroma and flavour characteristics as well. So whereas grapes grown in cooler climates will tend towards green fruit and citrus, warm climate grapes are going to tend towards stone fruits and tropical fruit characteristics. This is particularly obvious in Chardonnay. Chardonnay grows in a range of climates. You can find it in cool climates like Chablis. You can find it in moderate climates, for example, Burgundy, the Côte d'Or, Côte de Beaune in particular, for example, Meursault and Pligny-Montrachet would be classified as a moderate climate. And then it will grow well in warm climates, and Australia and California, which is what the example we have in this particular glass, are going to have warm climates. So therefore you can see really clearly how the aroma and flavour characteristics change with climate. So that was one of the things I wanted to look at with you with this particular wine sample. I also wanted to address some of the winemaking choices that can be made by the winemaker and how these can affect the style of wine as well. You'll again hopefully have read by now that one of the options the winemaker has is the fermentation vessel, and Chardonnay has a very strong affinity for oak and can produce some very delicious wines if fermented and or matured in an oak barrel. And whether the barrel is new or whether it's old or whether it's French or whether it's American can impact the style of the wine. So I wanted to talk you through the different characteristics you might expect in a oak or barrel fermented Chardonnay. Secondly, you've got malolactic fermentation. Malolactic fermentation converts the malic acid that you find in some wines to lactic acid. Malic acid is quite green and tart and sharp, whereas lactic acid is smooth and it's creamy. And the resulting flavours and aromas that you get in your wine are dairy notes, butter, yogurt, cream, for example. The third option the winemaker has is to whether to leave the wine sitting on the lees or not. Leaving the wine sitting on the lees for 6, 12, 18 months post-fermentation can result in intense yeasty or bready or biscuity aromas in the wine. And again, Chardonnay has a strong affinity both for malolactic fermentation and for lees contact. It adds flavour and aroma complexity, and it adds textural complexity to the wine. And I've picked this particular wine to show you in this particular video how the winemaker can introduce these flavours into the wine. So let's start looking at this wine with our systematic approach to tasting and assess it according to the appearance, the nose, and the palate, and then draw our conclusion about the quality of the wine. So let's start with the appearance. So remember, hold the glass at a right angle at 45 degrees to a white surface and have a look at firstly the intensity of the colour and the actual nature of the colour. Now I've got this down as medium lemon. I think you could possibly describe it as gold as well, and to be honest with you, I think gold might be more appropriate. So let's go with gold, medium gold on this one. It's got a nice shine, a nice glow to it as well. Okay, so give the glass a swell. I reckon we're pronounced intensity. I can just about get the aromas here. Let's go for pronounced intensity. Okay, now what does this smell of? Okay. Remember, break it up into your primary, secondary and tertiary characteristics. Primary characteristics, we've got banana, melon, mango, pineapple, all those tropical fruits, remember, that I was talking about? And this is typical of a warm climate Chardonnay to develop these tropical fruit characteristics in the wine. But we're also getting secondary characteristics here this time as well. Definitely butter. There's some bread dough and biscuit, vanilla from the oak, toast. Okay, so the butter from malolactic fermentation, vanilla from barrel fermentation, and then we've got biscuit and bread dough from lees contact on this wine. Okay, finally, we've also got some tertiary characteristics, a trace of honey and some caramel as well, and that's not entirely unexpected given the vintage of this wine, which is showing us a little bit of age. Okay, good. Right, now let's taste it on the palate. Okay, dry. Remember, sweetness is a winemaking choice. So the winemaker can choose to stop fermentation and leave a little bit of residual sugar in. Most of our white wines will have been fermented right through to dryness, and therefore they're going to be what we would describe as dry. Acidity is medium, which is what you would expect in a warm climate wine. Chardonnay can have high levels of acidity if it's grown in a cool climate. Chablis would be the perfect example, but this grown in a warm climate, and therefore the acidity drops a little bit to medium, which we can see here. Now, full body. Remember what I said about how when you get those really ripe grapes, that increases the body because sugar and alcohol all help to enhance the body of a wine. So we've got full body here, and we've also got high alcohol. It's 14%, I think, this particular wine. Okay, let's try again and have a think about the flavour and the flavour intensity. Okay, pronounced flavour intensity. No arguing here. It's very bold, it's really quite powerful. So pronounced flavour intensity. The flavour characteristics very similar to the nose. Tropical fruits, banana, melon, pineapple, mango. It's really appley as well, which is what you expect for Chardonnay. Chardonnay's always going to have some type of apple there. Chablis, cool climate Chardonnay, it's going to be green, tart, Granny Smith apples. But with an apple, with a Chardonnay from a warm climate, it's going to be ripe apples, those very, very sweet yellow apples that you get, almost baked as well. You could say it's baked apple too. Secondary notes, as we said on the nose, vanilla from oak, butter from malolactic fermentation, cream from malolactic fermentation, a bit of biscuit in there from that lees contact as well. And then we're getting those tertiary components again, caramel and the honey. And the finish just goes on and on and on. So this is a long finish. When you take all of that into consideration, we can describe this wine as outstanding. Long finish, pronounced complexity, both texturally and aroma and flavour as well. Now, it does have high alcohol, but I think that high alcohol is perfectly balanced by the aromas and the flavours that you get in this wine. So altogether, it's balanced, it's got a long finish, it's intense, it's pronounced, and it's very, very complex. So therefore, we've got an outstanding wine in this particular Chardonnay.